All right, greetings and welcome. It is Tuesday, May 20th of 2025. This is the Eccentric Perspective, and I am your host, Blake Wally, and I will be here for the next, 60 to 90 minutes, probably shorter today. I've got something I need to do, and it's been off to a rough start already. I've been battling a cold all week, but I am excited about today's broadcast. There's actually some really great stories to cover today in the news that have been all over the weekend, and I'm sure you guys are already fully aware. But man, we're talking about some monumental scandals stuff level happening. So we're gonna dive into that and perhaps some other stuff. We'll get to the headlines. Here is today's thumbnail: cancer crimes and cover-ups. Of course, we have Joe Biden in the news, and still James Comey is floating around there. And there I am on the beach next to his delightful seashell sculpture that he photographed for everybody. I don't know if it went the way he wanted it to, but we'll get into that. And I am having my mojito there. I'll have to touch up that thumbnail later, but I was flying by the seat of my pants today, and so many of the headlines are just kind of blurring together, and we're just going to make it all work. But if you guys want to sound off or share something with from the host and the rest of the class, please feel free to drop a line in the chat room, or you can troll me ruthlessly, mercilessly for my voice and my lack of preparation today and my lingering cold, which I think I am over the worst of, but is still lingering. Oh well. All right, let's jump to the headlines. Then we'll run to the intro, and then we'll jump in. Quick touch and go today, I think. So here we go. What are the topics? Democrats, have they committed a crime against the Republic? Maybe. Were they trying to hide Biden's cancer away? It wasn't that interesting how we got wind of that so suddenly, and why? And the shadow government using Biden is the worst political scandal in American history. I left that off because obviously there's not enough room to write that, so we had to shorten it. But where does that stand against like Watergate or any of the other scandals? How about Democrat Party? Are they the biggest threat to our democracy? The irony there. The Democrat Party, the party of democracy versus the party of the Republic and the Republicans. But the biggest threat, I keep saying the biggest threat of the Republicans or MAGA, but is it actually themselves? Weird. All right. And we also have Patel and Dan Bongino. Are they? They're under fire now from many people. MAGA. Are they now part of the whole cover-up for Epstein's fate? Did he really die of suicide? Well, we'll see. And then finally, Jim Comey. Should he just be let off the hook for the seashell snafu? Well, some people believe so. Some people think it was innocent. Some people may not agree. But I guess we all have an opinion on all of these things, and I certainly have mine. But I'm going to dive into that on the other side of this controversial intro, and then I'll be right back. Well, welcome back. Just getting a breaking news on my phone from Trump and Truth Social that Trump is calling for severe consequences for the treasonous thugs in Biden. Oh, now it disappeared. In the Biden administration who took over the auto pen to open the U.S. border. Yeah, this is going to be a huge one. And I don't know how the Democrats are ever going to wriggle themselves away from this. And it's up to us to keep the pressure on. Because this, they need a massive house cleaning. This absolutely is, I don't know where you want to begin, but just the idea that Biden is now, it's become very obvious. He was the puppet president. And in fact, I've got some great clips from about 4 or 5 years ago of a younger version of me saying these exact same things. It was so obvious back then. How did they miss it? So they were either complicit in the cover-up or they were too stupid to not realize it. But it just seems like it was all a big political maneuver. Hey, well, if Hillary and Obama can't get elected, well, maybe they could just control Biden, perhaps by pulling strings or having their own influential advisors and people within the White House. And of course, you've got the other people that Biden had his, I think 4 or 5 advisors that could have been controlling things. Karine Jean-Pierre, White House press secretary. But was Biden actually doing anything? It's hard to say. So that's going to be the big thing, is unraveling who was controlling Biden, who was doing the auto pen, who signed off on all of these, say, pardons, because it wasn't Biden. He wasn't even there, nor was he aware of what was actually happening. So it's pretty breathtaking. That's something, this is like something out of a Hollywood movie, except it's real life, and we're all living with those consequences. But at least it's now open, because what if Biden was still there? And if the Democrats could have gotten away with it, they would have had him reelected. It was a perfect setup. They could use this guy. He's the fall guy. Push whatever legislation you want to open up that border, or put men and women's sports, just whatever insanity, and then just make it look like, hey, but it's just Biden that's controlling everything. You got an issue with it? Hey, blame him. So not the puppet masters pulling the strings behind the scenes. So here we are. All right, let's get to, I don't know what to call the headline. I guess I just have a jumbled assortment of different articles and tweets in a rough order, and we're just gonna blur together, but it's all just painting one big scandal. So, all right, well, we'll start here. Destroyed from within. This is I don't know if this is an original InfoWars. It's written by the Raw Egg Nationalist. Whatever that is, I don't know, but the article's good. So, President Biden's health is the greatest political scandal in American history. Yeah, it appears, or at least a piece of it. So they're saying on Friday, Greg Gutfeld said the Biden dementia cover-up made Watergate look like a parking ticket. And there's a new book that came out over the weekend, Original Sin, by Jake Tapper, who was kind of complicit in the cover-up, but is now capitalizing on it with his book, and a bunch of anonymous insiders who seem to know everything happening the whole time, didn't say anything, and there was Biden's mental decline until they could cover it up no more. And they had him reluctantly drop out and tried to push Kamala over the finish line, but that didn't work either. But okay, however the cover-up looked on Friday, it looked 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times worse. And of course, they did try to switch the subject on it as well. So when the focus is on the media for, oh my God, I can't believe they were covering this whole thing up. Now all of a sudden it's, oh my God, Biden just Suddenly, they just found out he's got stage 4 prostate cancer to the bone, just a few months to live. So, how dare the people in MAGA or the Republicans is shameless? How could they criticize this poor old man with cancer? It's this, the way that they change the narrative on us. It's breathtaking. But, this is how things work in the real world, unfortunately. Oh, anywho, on Sunday night, less than a day before the devastating tell-all was due to drop, and also, the leaked audio tapes from special counsel Hur in 2023, which they did not want released for very obvious reasons, because anybody could tell that this man had some kind of a dementia. Why are we parading him around as the president of the United States and the most powerful man on the planet when he's clearly not all there? So, stage 4 prostate cancer that's metastasized to his bones. And somehow they weren't aware of it until the other day. Yeah, ridiculous. So they're covering up, they're distracting you from one scandal, and then they're revealing there's another scandal. So they just have nowhere to run. And that's good. They brought this upon themselves. And it's up to us to keep the pressure on until all of these rats are purged. And we find out who was actually running the show and hold these people accountable. All right. Well, let's see. Oh, yeah, there are also a couple other points here. I never heard of this Gleason scale, but they're ranking the different cancers. And so it's basically on a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 9. That's how severe it is. So he's only got 6 months to live, maybe less. So it's pretty much the end for Joe Biden. I'm not taking pleasure in that, but I do have to point out that, the media, the evil mainstream media that went along with this, and all the people that were around him in the White House, all of his advisors, and all the people trying to pull strings from outside, like perhaps a Hillary Clinton or an Obama. I guess Hillary Clinton was in regular communication with her people on the inside, and it's documented that Obama was happy. This would have been a good scenario for Obama, where he could just hang out and no pressure of having to do the daily activities as the president. He could just hang out in Martha's Vineyard or Hawaii or wherever all of his houses are, and just sit in the basement in his sweatpants and control the commander-in-chief wherever, just threw a little earpiece in his ear. So I don't have that clip. You'll just have to trust me, bro, that is out there. But there's a lot of people that want to fight over the power and the agenda of this regressive leftist party, not progressive like they used to be or could be. But anywho, I digress. Let's, in no particular order, we'll keep jumping around. Tim Pool here is saying that it was a coup from the redheaded libertarians tweet here. So it seems the deep state took a career politician with dementia and cancer, staged a riot to certify his mathematically improbable election. Yeah, the 81 million mysterious votes, a lot of them mail-in ballots that were not properly verified. But they won an election, maybe arrested anyone who contested it, and then silenced people like me for expressing our concerns about it. Sanctioned an invasion. I guess that would be the border. Weaponized the courts. Silenced speech, and turned the U.S. into Sodom and Gomorrah. Yeah, this country really went downhill in a lot of terrible ways. Oh, you know what I need? I need a little music. I'm going to put a little music in the background. I've forgotten. Just to set the mood a little bit. Track here. Okay, well, actually, let me run a. Speaking of that, I'm gonna run a couple of old clips from shows that I made 4 or 5 years ago on reports expressing this very concern. Here's one of them. This is my first video from the new rebrand. This is 2020. I think this is April 15th. So this is like 5 years ago. This was just a month into the quarantine. I was sitting around LA. I had all this gig work and my new job, and everything disappeared. Everything got shut down. So I had all this time on my hands, and I was like, hey, let's start getting back into the media again. So I started up the Next Level News, and this was my first report talking about what would happen with the deep state. But that's an hour-long report. This is just a highlight video showing some of that stuff. So I'm just going to run a quick clip from it. But it should have been pretty obvious. I thought it was pretty obvious.
All right, so how is this all going to play out? Well, as I said in the beginning, I think there's 4 potential scenarios. We'll start with number 1. That would be elect Joe Biden. Creepy, corrupt, fading. This is the best that the Democratic Party could do. In 4 years of nonstop attacks on Trump, you'd think, in a big field, you'd think they'd find somebody better, but apparently it didn't go that well. He's the perfect puppet for the globalists, so I guess that's really what matters. Is
perfect puppet for the globalists, absolutely. Who is that handsome young man there? He's a smart kid.
What they can convince the public to vote for. The poor guy probably doesn't know what planet he's on half the time, so
how did I know? He doesn't know what planet he's on half the time, but somehow the mainstream media and all of their resources, all of the smart people, all the good people that are real journalists. Who is this stoner Vegas bartender? What does he know about anything? Oh, yeah, wait, conspiracy theorists. Yeah, I'm actually up. Mostly, my 10-year track record just blows anybody away in the mainstream media. It's pretty embarrassing, and yet I'm the one who got censored and punished for bringing all of this stuff up. So it should have been obvious. So I don't know. I hope I can somehow be compensated for all of the years of sacrifice, while all these paid liars in the corporate media benefited themselves by actually pushing conspiracy theories and covering up for Biden's failing health, and using him, yes, and knowing that it was being used as a puppet to commit crimes in the United States. They really ruined the republic and did a lot of damage that Trump is now trying to undo. Here we go.
So, he'll go along with anything they tell him to do.
Play the radio, make sure make sure you have the record player on at night.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
We choose science over fiction. We choose truth over facts. Think about it. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing.
Does anybody want to really explain to me or anybody how they think Joe Biden would have done a better job than Donald Trump the last 4 years, or that how he's going to be a better candidate the next 4 years? Anyone? I mean, give me a break. Well, the current field of Democrats.
Yeah, I can tell you right now, it does not go very well. In fact, I mean, this was an obvious prediction. So anyway, well, whatever. I guess I'll give myself credit for it because I'm not going to get it anywhere else. But that's all good. No worries.
Democrats didn't offer much hope, so leads me to scenario number 2, in which they'll maybe try to remove Trump with some other impeachment type of thing. Already they're talking about another investigation as far as the pandemic response is concerned. Good luck with that. I guess maybe if that doesn't work, they could maybe try some sort of election fraud with the mail system they've been talking about. Of course,
well, that was only April, so it'll get much worse with the all the drop boxes and the unverified signatures. I had no idea how bad it was actually going to get, but it was obvious at the time. Well, anyway, the globalists certainly won that round, despite my warnings that fell on deaf ears and got lost in the back of the internet somewhere. But, okay, for the record. All right, let's get one more quick one. I did this one in 2021. Also calling out the same thing. It was obvious.
Could be said that these people performed a coup and stole the election so that they can continue with their agenda, putting in the perfect puppet, a confused and corrupt memory care patient. Meanwhile, they'll declare war on real Americans, the true patriots who care about truth, justice, and the American way. Then they're going to shut people up with the socials and go door to door to force facts.
Okay, I won't go into that part of the conspiracy theory, which could have happened, which the leftists, if they could have gotten away with it, would have absolutely done. But I'm just pointing out the dangers of how what can happen when you have people controlling the selection, especially somebody like Joe Biden. Hey, there we go. Kenneth, good to see you. Yeah, 2021. But I mean, I guess it's a good thing that maybe Trump did take a pause for the next few years, because now they've got the Republican Congress, Supreme Court. There's so many things lined up. And now we can pretty much show that something did go wrong with that election and the mail-in balloting, and that they used Joe as a puppet. So now they're guilty of all of this fraud, perhaps. So they're going to dig in, let the investigations begin. All right. Yep. What a mess. All right, so let's get to the next one. All right, so yes, it was a coup. I think that's fair to say. But at least, now the Democrats are forced to admit, and their rats are jumping ship, and you have to be playing the blame game for the Biden cover-up. But I don't know how they wriggle out of this. Because it's either, yes, you were complicit and you knew that he was cognitively declined, but you were too big of a coward to say it. You only cared about your job, not your integrity. And you knowingly perpetuated a hoax on the American people. Or you were just so stupid, you didn't realize that he was cognitively declined and you said nothing. So either way, they're screwed. And now they're now they're getting caught now in the cancer. So we're going to see some clues of that as well, that they knew about this a long time ago, and they just don't find a stage 4 overnight. So they knew it's probably been going on a couple years. But let's run a clip from some of these guys here. Yeah, some of the who's who, but at least maybe they're getting a moment of clarity.
You were on the record in 2022 voicing concerns about Biden's age and ability. Whom do you blame for the decision of him to run for re-election and the decision to hide his declining abilities as much as they were able to?
Well, look, at the top end, you have to blame him because he made the decision. But he was, and
blame the man with dementia.
Your book reflects this in many different ways. He was shielded by a coterie of advisors and his family. They were in this confirmation bubble, and they
saw an opportunity. It's like you have no pressure of actually being the president, like a Hillary or an Obama or one of these shadow advisors we had never heard of before. So you can just use Biden to be your rubber stamp, your auto pen, and push forth all of your most rotten, weird, regressive policies. stuff that you'd never do yourself. And then, hey, who cares? And then Biden is gonna die in a few years anyway. So it's quite the plan. Mail-in ballets, nice. Yeah, exit stage 4. So, Kenneth, what do you think? They just find out about this now over the weekend, like the rest of us, or were they also covering this up for years as well? And now they're just using it as a shameless distraction from themselves and their own cover-up. But at least these guys kind of faced the music and had some clarity again. We'll keep running.
They tried to shield the world from his decline, and they tried to shield him from his own standing and his polling numbers and so on. And so at the end of the day, I have to point the finger at the people around him who didn't do him a service by encouraging him to continue. I think
Okay, well, yeah, well, why would they? Look at all the power they have. Actually, let's see if I can find the tweet here. Got so many. I got so many open windows, I can't find anything. But it's one of the O'Keefe videos where they do the undercover. Oh, I've got it right here. I found it. So James O'Keefe saying, yeah, this isn't even the one. Ah, damn it. All right, never mind. I do have it. It's one of the cripes. I never know exactly which direction I'm going to be going into. But we can see right here, Biden said he had cancer in 2022. Then they have, let me find I know there's an article where he's got the advisors that are talking about him. Or do I just keep rolling? I'll get to it eventually. Okay, sorry about that. I am not entirely prepared. We'll keep going.
speak out. But it was obvious to the American people, even before that debate, that the president was just too old. He would have been closer to 90 than 80 if he had won re-election, and he already was showing decline. So I blame the people around him, because real loyalty, and it's hard when you work for President Jake to tell them hard truths, but real loyalty demanded that they say, Mr. President, it's just not there, and it's not.
Yeah, but why would they want to give up their power? So that doesn't really make any sense. Yeah, I mean, if these people actually had a soul and they had some integrity, yeah, then maybe they would have. They've been like, hey, this is wrong, or this is elder abuse. We got to be better than this. Or you take advantage of that situation and you get, hey, this is a perfect opportunity to put forth the craziest leftist agenda that's ever been perpetuated on America, and we will have none of the blame. So it would just be nice if I could find all of the specific points that I'm looking for, but unfortunately, that is not the case today. So I will have to double down and get my shit together next time. Anyway, but what are you gonna do? Let's keep rolling this clip.
In your interest, and it's better for you, the country, and the Democratic Party if you leave now.
Van, I remember how emotional you were in the immediate moments after the June 27th, 2024 debate because of what you saw on the stage. And with all this new reporting coming out, and I should disclose that I gave both of you copies of the book so you would have a little bit more information. Do you feel like you were duped, Van? Like, how do you feel?
First, this book is extraordinary. I don't care who you are, left, right, or otherwise. Anybody who cares about this country and about just the dynamics of power, this is the emperor's new clothes playing itself out in real time. Everybody knew, but everyone was afraid to say, except for David Axelrod for 2 years, that something was wrong here. And so, yeah, I was shocked. I love Joe Biden. I don't like him. I love him. I got a chance to work with him when I was a part of the Obama administration and loved him more every day. I was shocked to see his condition when he came out, and so was the world. And that wasn't the first time he was in that condition. The book makes it very, very clear. There are people who knew and said nothing. And that is a crime against this republic. And I think the Democrats are going to pay for a long time.
That's the part I like right there. So, committed a crime. That's where I get the title there. Democrats committing a crime against the republic. That they should have to pay for this, for their credibility. They're going to have to be a major house cleaning. DNC and all of the leftist media. Because again, there's only two things. Either you were complicit, either you knew that he was cognitively declined and gaslighted your audience, went along with it, or you were too stupid to recognize it. Either case, you're incompetent. So, how is that going to happen? All right. I did find that clip, I think, and now lost it again because that's just how it's going to work today. Okay, here we go. Went and found it in a different location, but this is from the James O'Keefe group, showing that Obama is very involved. So was Hillary Clinton, running the White House under Biden, and then he names the who's who of the advisors under hidden camera.
OMG and save $45 per kit today when you use code OMG. Meet the newest subject in our latest investigation into the DC swamp, Tyler Robinson. Tyler is a special advisor working at the Small Business.
Speak candidly when he thinks off the record, and not that he incriminated himself, but it was an interesting revelation into how things actually work. So doesn't sound like Biden really had much to do with day-to-day operations. He has, 5 trusted advisors. He's been in Washington, 40 years? So he's got his trusted people around him, and they do most of the stuff. And then you've got, the Obama and the Hillarys calling in, and they've got their people in there, and they're influencing decision-making. And who knows who else of the donor class and what have you. But yeah, they had a nice system going until the dementia got so bad that they couldn't carry him over the finish line. And then when that got revealed, now they're switching it to, now he's got this major cancer. But they're going to act like they didn't know that while he was still running? Or while they were planning to have him go for a re-election, knowing full well this guy had some severe cancer. So it's pretty wild stuff. Yeah, so. Yeah, the doctor seemed to think everything was fine. Again, it was the perfect plan until it wasn't so perfect. And now this could really backfire spectacularly, and it should. This should be the end of them. And yeah, heads need to roll for something like this. There has to be accountability for basically, it's just like elder abuse, except the elder is the president of the United States, and they're using him for his auto pen and what have you. Crazy. All right, well, let's keep moving on. Well, let's see. There's another guy. It says Henry Apple, national security advisor and former spy, that said Joe Biden is dead. He can't even say a sentence. This also on an undercover video. And then Robert Silvers, an undersecretary, revealed Biden's cognitive decline accelerated 12 to 24 months into his presidency, adding that during meetings, he's in there and it's a blank. So it's like he's just a figurehead. It's like you're going to have a meeting. Joe's going to be present, but he's just going to be sitting there like blank up against the wall, or blurting out things once in a while. He's not the commander in chief. It's not like where you see you don't have to like Trump, but you can watch him in these meetings. He's clearly the guy in charge. Too bad we couldn't get insight into that. Too bad they didn't televise those meetings with Joe Biden, but they would never allow that. Because they know exactly what people are going to think. And they knew it. It's wild. Okay, here's, we'll keep moving along. Tim Pool saying Joe Biden has cancer with metastasis to the bones. This is considered advanced. If he had the best medical care and screenings for 4 years, they'd have found it. So it means he's likely had it since before dropping out. Democrats knew. Yeah, if he was just some random old man and didn't want to go to the doctor for a few years, yeah, you know what? You could find a cancer that had accelerated to stage 4 and had no idea. But when you're an elderly man, as the sitting president, you have the finest care in the world. They would have known this, so they lied again. Crazy. Yeah, unholy hoax. I agree. Damn the Dems. Yeah, it's over. There's no way out of this. They have backed themselves into a corner. And now it's time for heads to roll and for accountability to occur and just a massive house cleaning on everybody. Yeah, it's going to be Joe Biden. Yeah, because he's probably got a few months. I doubt at this rate, I'll probably be surprised if he makes it to the end of the year. So it's over. It's stage 4 in your bones. You've already got dementia. It's time to go. There is no more upside. There is no curing for this. So I'm not taking pleasure in his downfall, but I will take pleasure in the downfall of all of these dirty Democrats. So here's another one. Here's a Clint Russell. The plan was to run Biden, lie about his cancer and dementia, get him back in the White House, and then have him immediately step aside. Then Kamala's reign of terror could begin. Oh, while trying to jail or kill Trump. Just making sure we're on the same page here. These people are evil. Absolutely. But it's like Machiavellian. It's the ends justify the means. So didn't care. And this is another one. I got all these little headlines that I just pulled from random sources. So I don't really have a specific segment. We just throw it all together, I guess. There's one from Mike Cernovich. The big story isn't that Biden was senile. That's the limited hangout. The story is who was the shadow government. It's a scandal unlike any seen in modern history. Absolutely. They hit Nixon pretty hard. The Watergate, and it's pretty innocent compared to some of the stuff that's been happening in the last 25 years, and this might be the worst ever. Soon Joe Dirt. Yeah, it's a good movie. All right. Get another one here from Matt Walsh. Got the most cynical thing I've seen in American politics. Biden has stage 4 cancer. There's no way in hell they just caught it now. They knew it probably for years, lied to the American people. And then they waited until 2 days before a book comes out about the cover of his mental decline so they could change the subject. Now it's quiet all criticism in the name of compassion for a sick man. Yes, these people are evil beyond words. Agreed. So now it's that time. We have the rats, jumping the sinking ship and turning on each other on the way out. Maybe, and it's good on Jake, even though I think he's dirty for being involved in the cover-up and then capitalizing on this. He should have all those sources. There was a lot of people that they're anonymous. Of course, they didn't have the courage to go out on record, but they would have had their careers destroyed had anybody blown the whistle and said, hey, Biden is he's out to lunch. Something's wrong. He's got dementia and people are using him to pass legislation and he doesn't know what's going on. That person would have had their career destroyed and probably, I don't know, met their fate from the Hillary people. Been part of the Hillary body count. So I don't know. Can I blame them either? And then all the people would have denounced them, all the cult followers. How dare you say something like that? But it's all true now. So the dam is burst. Now they're going to have to deal with it. Okay, how about article from InfoWars? Top doctors tell mainstream news host Democrats definitely knew Biden had prostate cancer throughout his presidency. So not only did the Biden White House and campaign cover up his deteriorating mental abilities, but with Sleepy Joe's weekend announcements, it's evident Democrats also hid the disease from the public throughout his term. Yeah, they never, I don't know how they thought they were going to get away with this. He was just going to die in a few months and they were going to be like, oh, we didn't know he had stage 4. I don't know. They think they can just control reality in the media forever, and they're not. They're going to learn the hard way, I hope. Or we're just lost as a country if we can't get some accountability on this. Stage 4 plan, sir. Kraftwerk. Isn't that electronic music? Am I thinking of the same thing? I might be confused there, Kenneth. I know you do. You used to do some DJ work. All right. But anyway, all right. Let's we'll keep continuing here. Yeah, we know. Oh, and yeah, there's Joe Scarborough who shamelessly told everybody this was the best Biden he had ever seen. Sharp as a tack. No way, he must have known the whole time. Balls on that guy. Yeah, he should be. Yeah, he should be interrogated. All right, so here it is. A reminder: Biden said he had cancer in 2022. Now these old videos are popping up. There it is. And what do they just say? Oh, he just misspoke. Oh, you Republicans and your conspiracies. Oh, these are just cheap fakes. Everything's fine. But yeah, he's admitted it a couple times. Not intentionally, but it's slipped out.
Mother drove us, and rather than us be able to walk. And guess what? The first frost, you know what was happening. You had to put on your windshield wipers to get literally the oil slick off the window. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer. And why I can't for the longest time. Why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer. They drove.
Why I and so many other people have cancer. He admitted it. He knew. I don't have the video where he's saying his butt's been wiped. Yeah, he's got the prostate cancer brewing. Sure he did. He had an official wiper. And he covered it all up. They didn't care. Of course, the poor guy pooped himself in France. I might have that video. Got so many different items here and so little time. All right, well, let's keep moving on. Got the Biden's damning her audio tapes. These finally got pushed out over the weekend. Yeah, couldn't possibly release them last year during the campaign. No, because they know that would have been devastating. Actually, I think some of these videos are in here. This is John Bowne from InfoWars. Let's roll this clip.
Biden's thing, cheating on law school.
Like Hunter S. Thompson cameo.
Biden's thing, cheating on a law school exam. You shouldn't be thrown out for cheating, but you should probably be punished for going to law school at all.
What I'm doing is going out and demonstrating to the American people that I have command of all my faculties, that I don't need notes, I don't need teleprompter. I can go out and answer any questions at all. And so, what was happening though, 1 month ago dying, got amazed, 30th,
So this particular specific clip out of this montage is from the Robert Hur, where he doesn't really know when he's just questioning basic stuff. When did your son die? Which is a painful memory, but you should know if you've got your faculties. But if you don't, then it looks bad. And so they would just release transcripts. But, the transcripts only tell part of the story. You need to hear his voice to get the proper context, which is why they covered it up.
I think it's 2015.
There has been a lot of attention paid to language in the report about the president's memory, so let me say a few words about that.
Just to speak to the Hur report really, really quickly. Special Counsel Hur is, as far as I remember, is obviously a Republican, a prosecutor.
So it wasn't that he was telling the truth and was concerned that the president was cognitively declined. No, it's that Robert Hur, he's got an agenda. He's a registered Republican, so it must have been a political hit job, according to the White House press secretary, former, thankfully.
Prosecutor, he's not a medical doctor. He's just not. It's not for him to speak to. It's just not.
Oh, okay. It's not, wasn't just obvious to him and concerning, but he's not a medical doctor, so his opinion doesn't really have to count, now does it? It's just a shameless cover-up by these awful people. Speaking of shameless cover-up, it looks like my audio AI has gone bad. It did this to me before, so I recognize it now. Sorry for all the static. I do kind of like the little gentle background music, but instead, not when it goes like that, though. All right, never mind. We're going to cut that music off. It's a nice feature, but when it works, it's a nice feature. Okay, all right. We're gonna go without background music today, or for the rest of the broadcast, which isn't that much longer. So let's continue. Yeah, what's wrong with her? A good one, Kenneth. Yeah, absolutely. He's got a lot of things wrong with that one. Let's keep running.
We interviewed the president and asked him about his recorded statement. Quote, "I just found all the classified stuff downstairs," end quote. He told us that he didn't remember saying that to his ghostwriter.
Yeah, but come on, you're a registered Republican and you're not a medical doctor, so what do you know? Insane.
He also said he didn't remember finding any classified material in his home after his vice presidency. And he didn't remember anything about how classified documents about Afghanistan made their way into his garage.
There is nothing relevant.
Well, anyway, here's shameless Jamie Raskin going to cover up for the cognitively impaired commander. Well, we're not going to run any more with that. Go to the next one. This 30-second clip reveals why we're now hearing about Biden's cancer. Got David Axelrod once again. Another cameo as he's making his rounds.
His medical condition now, his announced medical condition now, do you believe that silences or delays a lot of conversations about his, last year and a half of his presidency for now?
Yeah, well, I think those conversations are going to happen, but they should be more muted and set aside for now as he's struggling through this.
So, again, that's the way they want to try to wash that out of the news cycle. Once the pressure is on that the media was involved, conspiring to cover up for Biden's cognitive decline, and then they have to switch the subject. Hey, we got to set that stuff aside because now he's struggling with cancer, guys. Oh, but now we're going to open up a new can of worms and going, oh, you just found out about the cancer? You guys knew about this a couple of years ago. He even kind of blurted it out accidentally in a speech. So, no, you guys are caught once again. And now you're going to have to pay for it somehow, some way. We've got 9 questions about the Biden White House that must be answered after the cancer diagnosis. Look at this clown show. Here's your symbols of the of your campaign there with Joe and their stupid masks. So, who was running the country? I guess that would be the biggest one. Who was making policy? Who operated the auto pen? Who was former Vice President Kamala Harris's role? Or what was her role? Of course, we're not really sure what she was doing. She's probably just drinking heavily and goofing off. Let's see. Who coordinated Biden's live events and was still able to sleep at night? We expect these people to actually have integrity or they care. Here's you talking about the cancer again. Why did they let him debate? Well, I guess they kind of have to. Or maybe they want to see him fail. I guess they're still good questions because you have to know. Or maybe they were hoping if they just got enough of just the right mix of methamphetamine and whatever else they got in it, whatever cocktail they injected into his butt, that maybe he would have a better performance, but it didn't work. What did Biden know? Who orchestrated the COVID response? What did the world leaders think of Biden? And yes, as he was falling asleep or shitting pants in France. And will there be accountability? Well, there should be now. The dam is broken. All right, here's another one. Dr. Biden's team was completely incompetent or covered up his cancer. Exactly. There is no way that this is all just a surprise. They're only going for it just to take the pressure off of them for their conspiracy. Next one, Biden's late cancer diagnosis exposes Democrats and the media as legitimate national security risks. Yeah, but they can no longer trust these people at all for anything. If they were willing to use a man to elder abuse, to take control of the presidency and push forth a radical agenda, they cannot be in any kind of positions of power or influence ever again. Okay, how about Biden? Biden cancer diagnosis makes Jake Tapper's anonymous sourcing even more scandalous. Yeah, because these are all of the people that were involved in the conspiracy. Easiest thing Republicans do now, right now, is find out who was running the country for the last 4 years. Yes, since they control the House, they should absolutely find this out. But you kind of narrowed it down. You got like 5 key advisors, plus, whoever Obama and Hillary. It's probably about 7 there we could start with and keep going. But you got to bring Kamala in there, and of course, the former White House press secretary. Then we've got shameless liar Hakeem Jeffries accusing Republicans of pushing conspiracy theories, asked about Biden's health. Yeah, they can't take any accountability. They have no integrity. Not saying, this was a bad idea. It's too bad. We owe the people an apology. It's got to be, the Republicans they're cutting health care. Well, no, they're going to be cutting some of the expenses out of Medicare, but not cutting Medicare. Anyway, again, they always have to distract and deflect. And we also have Bernie Sanders finally admitting Democrats are a threat to democracy 9 years after the DNC stole his 2016 presidential nomination in favor of Hillary Clinton. Let me get to that as somebody at the very end of this interview calls him out on it.
Official, I got to represent the people.
That's fair.
And I can't turn my back on.
But then could we not also say if ostensibly there hasn't been a fair primary for the Democrats since 2008, are they not also a threat to democracy? Yes. We often hear
fair.
Democrats, threat to our democracy. Even Bernie agrees. And they also anointed Kamala. So as Biden dropped out, they didn't get a fair chance at a regular primary. If they would have had more time, if they would have been honest about Biden's cognitive decline and his cancer, they could have given the Democrats the field they deserve. Not that they had a lot of other better candidates, but instead they just force-fed you Kamala. So there's another way of trickery. So they are the biggest threat to democracy. Jay tapped in. Bernie Sanders. Yep. Well, but good on him. I don't agree with a lot of stuff he does, but, he's a sharp guy, and he knows he's been screwed by that party. Okay. So, yeah, the whole party needs to be burned down figuratively, not literally, figuratively. Okay. All right, let's move on. I think we've blurred these subjects together quite a bit. Democrats committed a crime against the Republic. Yes. Democrats were trying to hide Biden's cancer away. Yes. Shadow government using Biden as worst political scandal. I think so. Is there something where, I mean, there's the Benghazi stuff. Operation Fast and Furious. I mean, there's a lot of big scandals out there. The Hunter Biden laptop, but I mean, just using the one man's entire 4-year term presidency as a puppet to push a radical agenda on the people. It has to be the worst political scandal. And then they gave themselves all blanket pardons at the end. Yeah, on top of it. Yeah, it is. It's got to be the biggest political scandal in history. So this is a current thing, and it needs to be, the pressure needs to be kept on it. Democrat Party is the biggest threat to our democracy. Absolutely. And of course, I did allude to this, but yeah, they also use this to open the border wide up. So they let imported tens of millions of illegal aliens that now we can't get rid of, because everybody gets their day of due process, which, is good in one way and bad when we have millions of people that shouldn't be here. And now we're going to have the courts backed up for the next umpteen years. So anyway, what a disaster. But let's move on away from that. How about Kash Patel and Dan Bongino? Are they now covering up Epstein's fate? Well, another controversial story as they've doubled down on Epstein claims. So we were all looking forward to. I absolutely was thrilled. I mean, you could have told me this a few years ago. Hey, someday we're going to have Kash Patel and Dan Bongino in high-level positions at the FBI criminal justice, and that would have been great. And we could finally get the answers on Epstein and so many other things. But now they don't have anything. So are they lying or are they duped? Did we all get duped? I don't know. Or are they body doubles? They're clones. I doubt that. All right, that's a wild conspiracy. But let's run a clip.
You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. People don't believe it.
Well, I mean, listen, they have a right to their opinion, but as someone who has worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor, who's been in that prison system, who's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center, who's been in segregated housing, you know a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
He killed himself. You want me to? I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
I know it's hard work.
Okay, but no one's believing it. I don't believe it. I know there's a few clips here. We trusted those guys, but I mean, maybe there's more to it. Here's another one.
I put this. Christmas ornaments, drywall, and Jerry Epstein. Name 3 things that don't hang themselves. That's what the American people think.
It would take hours to go over how ridiculously obvious the murder of Jeffrey Epstein was in that federal jail in New York. I mean, the coroner said his neck was broken in 3 spots. It would take a gorilla to do that. And the cameras all turned off magically. Now we're learning that they put nitrous oxide in from good sources and made the guards pass out. That was
I did see a clip of an interview from Patrick Byrne, who's an interesting patriot, and he said that a high-level source, and he didn't want to leak it, but he was like on a show, and he was being warned like in real time, like he's getting messages on his phone, like, don't say that, don't you dare say anything, that this was such a high-level hit that they gassed the guards, or like the guard, because for weeks they were kind of like building it up, like, oh, Epstein's in this cell, and the guards are all on overtime, and they're all working like 60, 70 hours a week, and something's weird, and all of a sudden they fell asleep, and the cameras were off, and then somehow magically Jeffrey Epstein just hung himself with a paper sheet, and broke his neck in 3 spots on a paper sheet just at the perfect time. Like he was just sitting there waiting, and all of a sudden he notices both the security guards are asleep. Oh, well, now I'll just take this opportunity to use my paper sheet to hang myself, and nobody will notice, and it's all good. And now Kash Patel and Dan Bongino are there gaslighting you, saying that, oh, it's suicide to me. Insane. It's cover up. Question is why. Clinton Russell again here saying the same thing. But if Dan Bongino and Kash Patel really believe Epstein killed himself, they're either compromised or not doing their jobs. Saying the same thing Alex said. The cellmate was removed. He had 3 neck fractures. Guards fell asleep and the cameras didn't record. Okay, so I got a little sidetracked, but they said that was such a high-level hit that they actually used like gas, leaked it out so that the guards knocked him out, and then they could, shut the cameras off, go in there, kill Epstein, drag him out. I mean, assuming that's his body. But I mean, that's how high level this is. And so you just got to figure you're not going to get any of the information out. Obviously, they don't want the public to find out. And Dan Bongino is a good guy. A lot of these people, they take oaths, and they have to hold themselves in secrecy, especially like, Secret Service. They can't just leak what actually goes on behind the scenes. So they were briefed, and maybe they were misled. I mean, yeah, you see the evidence. There's clearly it wasn't just a suicide. It's impossible. So I guess the reality is that what they're trying to hide is so bad. They're protecting us and the public from something so scandalous. It could bring down, who knows? It could start crashing governments, perhaps. In fact, this is one of the theories put out there from Brandon here of Alt Market. He says, I'm convinced at this point that the Epstein case is so utterly radioactive that if the details were actually released, multiple governments would collapse. And there is a good reason why the Trump administration is stalling. Okay, well, apparently there's a thunderstorm in my area, and I do apologize for that awful alert. But, oh well, I guess it's just been one of those types of broadcasts today. So, Dan Boney knows. Clone alone, yes, they were both taken over and replaced with clones that carry the government talking points now. Yeah, but very disappointing. So, I guess, I mean, I could go in there, right? If they say, hey, Blake, we're going to let you go into the Epstein and you're going to find out, and they're going to say, Blake, do you realize all of the super high level people that are involved in this and what the consequences will be if we release that information to the public? It's going to disrupt our entire way of life, and governments across the planet are going to implode. They're going to lose their faith. People are going to be rioting in the street. Do you really want to end our civilization by trying to release what you know about the Epstein tapes? So I don't know. At that certain level, I don't know what they know. Perhaps they're protecting us from something people aren't ready to handle. I don't know. But we're not getting it. So I don't know if they're bad guys. I'm assuming they have good reasons. But I guess we're just going to have to let this go. I don't know. Wish I had better news. But there doesn't seem to be any. At least not on this front, and not today. Here's another interesting tweet somebody pointed out, kind of mocking this because Glenn Beck was putting this out. Even Glenn Beck was saying he still believes that the death was, he doesn't believe that it was a suicide. He doesn't believe the story. He knows these are honorable, credible guys. And maybe Bongino's freaked out. I mean, this is just, one particular snapshot of the body language looking like he's terrified and in over his head. Says he will not get shit done now. He already folded. So anyway, well, we had a good run. We tried. But if these guys can't get it done, if the Trump administration, Patel and Bongino, then who do we trust to get that information out? Who's going to do it? Can we put Alex Jones and Glenn Beck in there? Are they going to report it, or are they going to find out going, oh, God, yeah, public's not ready for this. This is going to destroy our way of life. Sorry, guys. I don't know. Well, let's go to one last topic. Well, what's Dan up to? It's epic then. Yeah, we'll find out when we all die, I guess, assuming there's a moment of pure clarity. Get a life review and to get to see what actually happened. I don't know if that's the case or not. I guess we'll all find out someday. So, what the real history? What really happened? So it's not even, and that's just one part of it. That's just the Epstein actual death. And then there's the whole Epstein files and cover up and whatever the awful hell happened on his island, his little pleasure palace. Yep. None of us can handle the truth. So we're just going to have to agree to bury it forever. Or maybe they can put it in a time capsule and it'll be released in 1,000 years when people have forgotten most of it. People wouldn't believe it anyway. All right, so what else? I just have one last topic for today, and that is Jim Comey. Should he be let off the hook for his seashell snafu? Well, saying Comey is giving Tapper a run for his money and audacious claims. Comey putting out the weird cryptic message on his Instagram over the weekend. That was a big story. 8647. Here's another one. But he's come out with an excuse now. He did pull it down. His seashell post. Aw shucks. He's playing dumb and innocent after essentially calling for Trump's assassination last week, claiming he had no idea his post would be so controversial. Well, after the fact, yeah, but I don't know. There's something isn't adding up with any of this, and I don't trust anything he says, especially after watching him on this stupid interview with this intelligent asset masquerading as a journalist known as Nicole Wallace. So here he is.
You are back in the middle of a political firestorm.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Jim.
For walking on the beach with my wife, so.
Oh, he's a victim now. He was just walking on the beach with his wife when MAGA just decided to unleash a shitstorm onto his life.
I don't know how we ended up here. It never occurred to me that it was any kind of controversial thing, but that's the time we live in.
Well, let's see. From an outsider perspective, that was pretty bad what he did. That was really stupid and potentially scandalous. But he doesn't see it because he's got like stage 4 TDS.
Take me back to the walk on the beach.
We were walking on the beach. We went to the beach to prepare for this week, which was the launch of my book, and to think about the book and to prepare to answer questions about it. And we were walking back towards the road, and we saw in the sand someone had arranged shells.
So they're promoting, getting ready to promote his new book of lies, like Jake Tapper, capitalizing on probably a cover-up of his own scandal, his own rewriting of history. Yeah, Comey should not be, Comey, not my homie. Yeah, he's still walking around on the beach with his wife, and just magically, suddenly, just sees a display of seashells. If you want to believe his story, let's hear it.
With numbers, and Patrice, my wife, said, "Why would someone put an address in the sand?" And I said, "I don't know." And we stood over it, and I said,
okay, sorry, I muted myself for coughing, but I'm having a hard time accepting this version of the story. So they're just walking along the beach, and apparently somebody just magically in his pathway, and they saw the 8647 sitting there, and his wife innocently just saying, "Oh, is that someone's address? Let's just hover over it and take a look and wonder what that means. Oh, 8647. That's Donald Trump." Well, okay, I'm going to get ahead of myself. Hold on.
"You know, I think it's some kind of like political message."
Ooh, it's a political message.
She said, "You know, 86, when I was a server," she did a lot of work.
Oh, so they just broke it down right there, and they just figured it out on their own. Yeah, so she's a server, and I was a bartender and a server, so I know. I've worked in restaurants. I know what 86 means. Hey, Blake, 86, the ribeyes or whatever, we don't have anymore. I get the message. I know what that means, but we also know it's an old mafioso term for 86. 86, I worked in casinos for a long time, so you could say 86, an item from the menu. So say, "Oh, sir, yeah, no, don't order the Philly cheesesteak because we're out of the meat." So, whatever. Or if you've got some kind of unruly customer, you might 86 somebody from the casino because they're a cheater or they're a drunk or whatever. There are the expressions, but it also means something a little more sinister. And James Comey knows that because he was a top mafia prosecutor for the Gambino, head lead prosecutor against the Gambino family. And that's 86ing means to take somebody you kill 8 miles out of town and bury him 6 feet under. So, and then he's just sitting here playing so stupid. And I don't believe that they just stumbled upon it. I think they actually put this together, which is also disturbing. It's one thing just to see it and then just hovering it, trying to figure it out, and then realizing, oh, it's a clever thing against Trump, and we'll just take a picture of it, and it's all good, and I didn't even think anything of it. He's such a shameless lying hack. It's just embarrassing. I think they put this together. I think he's so consumed by his TDS and his deep fear of prosecution from Trump that he somehow is just the mental gymnastics that go on his head and his obsessions, and they actually made this. Or maybe his wife did, and he took a picture. Hey, let's grab a bunch of seashells. But then how do you go from there to like, hey, let's make this into a political message, and let's make the 8647. I need a better explanation for it, and there isn't one, and he knows it, and he's caught. Because it makes sense to him and his wife and maybe his little inner circle, but for the rest of us, I'm trying to figure out how this actually all came to be, and I'm not buying any of his BS story.
In restaurants meant to remove an item from the menu when you ran out of ingredients. And I said, well, to me, as a kid, it always meant to leave a place, to ditch a place. I said, that's really clever. So then she said, you should take a picture of that. And I did. And I posted it on my Instagram account. And thought nothing more of it until I heard through her that people were saying it was some sort of a call for assassination, which is crazy. But I took it down. I don't even.
Just crazy, isn't it, Jim? You're such a liar. And you go on a journalist show, you know it was going to be a friendly interview. She's not going to push back on this at all. Insane. I know there's another clip.
Even if I think it's crazy, I don't want to be associated with violence of any kind.
Bullshit. If Trump got whacked, he would be the first. He would be celebrating very quickly.
Tell us about, take us through all of the ways he sought to investigate you. He's been tweeting about investigating you and prosecuting you, I think, since 2007.
Yeah, so that would mean you are in deep fear of this man coming after you. And you are so consumed by this that it's making you do weird shit, like sitting on a beach, assembling a fucking seashell sculpture about fantasizing to take out your political rival before he takes you down. Something like that, Jim. I mean, I would love to do this interview if they could give it to me. I'd have some different questions and pushback than this intelligence asset, Nicole Wallace. But let's keep going.
17, shortly after he fired you.
I think that's right, and I intentionally don't keep track of these things, but he has, and I hope no one will. But he has dozens of times called for me to be incarcerated and accused me of all manner of things. And I was investigated repeatedly in a variety of different ways in his first term. I went through the mother of all IRS audits, which cost me thousands of dollars, but I got a $347 refund at the end. Turns out I had
Wow. He knows wow, he sure has some of those details down correctly, but he just has no idea about some of the other things. So this guy is just constantly contradicting himself. He's a corrupt cop, and I hope he gets a little more scrutinized over what he did here, because this demands more questions here. I'm not buying any of his BS story here.
Overpaid my taxes, but just again and again and again. I really thought that I was done. I was in another life. I was a grandfather and an author wearing, sweaters and jeans. Aww. And then I went for a walk on the beach and
I was just an innocent grandfather in my sweatpants and on the beach, and I just saw this little seashell thing, and we didn't know it was an address, and maybe it's something, and I took a picture, and then people started getting angry. Oh, poor me. Just, it's amazing. Oh my God. I hate so many of these people. They're just so awful. I hope there is a reckoning. Well, anyway, we will see. Yeah, I think that's about all I have today. I probably have to run. I guess on the, some more sad news. Speaking of the prostate cancer, we do have, unfortunately, Scott Adams of Dilbert fame and several other things, and been quite the political and philosophical commentator, doing his live streams regularly, doing a lot of great work, helped influence, change hearts and minds. Also has the same thing that Biden has with stage 4 prostate down to the bones, and he knows he's probably only got a few months to live. So sad to hear, but I'm glad he's still can kind of get his closure out of the way. He's kind of pointed this out that as painful as the cancer is, his brain's still sharp, and he gets time to settle his affairs and have closure with stuff. So good on him. Yeah, we have a limited amount of time here on this planet, so and it can go real quick. Anyway, yeah, Buddha Comey was the 86 a sexual thing. Yeah, you never know. He'll sell seashells at Gitmo soon. Perhaps, yeah, I wouldn't mind that. He can go play on the beach in Guantanamo, and he can make all of his little weirdo seashell sculptures. I don't care. Comey wearing a Speedo. I don't know if I want to see that. Bless his evil heart. Yeah, well, let's see. Scott Adams and his, let's just listen to him. I'll carry that out, and we'll call it a day.
this is hitting you kind of hard because you're hearing it for the first time. Weirdly, since it's old news to me, I've just sort of processed it. So it just sort of is what it is. And I have to say that, everybody has to die, as far as I know. And it's kind of civilized that you know about how long you have, so you can put your affairs together and make sure you've said your goodbyes and done all the things you need to do. So if you had to pick a way to die, this one's really painful, like really, really painful. But it's also kind of good that it gives you enough time while your brain is still working to wrap things up. You might wonder why it took me so long to tell you, and I think I owe you an answer to that. Number one, it would change my life because everybody would start treating me like the cancer guy. You can't really there's no second way that goes. Once you go public, you're just the dying cancer guy. And I didn't want you to have to think about it. And I didn't want to have to think about it. You should know, well, if you didn't already know, I am unusually mentally tough. So while this could be much worse, for some people, I suppose, I'm handling it quite well. The pain is tough. I mean, really tough. But the mental part, I got that under control. And I can see in the comments that some of you are having a tough time with it. But remember, nothing lasts forever. Nothing lasts forever.
Well, okay. Well, that's it, I guess. Sad note, I suppose. But yeah, I guess that's how it all works. So he's made his... he's done well with the time that he had. So salute to Scott Adams. Thank you for the great work. Wish you the best and good luck with everything. And maybe he can recover. But if not, he still leaves the legacy behind. So anywho. Yeah, sorry, Kenneth. Yeah, it goes too quick, man. It's we only get about 75, 80, 75, 90 years or so, and then it's pretty much it's it. So, anywho, well, that's all I've got on this broadcast. So, thank you, Kenneth, and Unholy Hoax, and anybody out there lurking or listening to the replay, please like and subscribe. We'll do it all again Thursday. I'll be a little more recovered from my little health issue myself, although it's only temporary. I'll be a little bit more prepared and on the ball and ready to roll. So we'll see you perhaps next time, but that's all I've got. So thank you all. Have a wonderful day. I'll be on the Toxically Masculine Tuesday. I think we should be back. I'm not 100%. I know those guys were texting earlier. So I think, we might have, we're going to have Steve Doran back. That'd be great because he had a major health scare over the last few weeks. So we've been on a little hiatus. So Dr. Brooks Agnew, Mike Barra, and Trail Boss Steve Doran with myself on tonight, Tuesday, 9:00 p.m., Toxically Masculine Tuesday, the best round table on the internet. We'll cover the latest news and current events and so much else. But that's all I've got for today. Thank you again for listening, and we will see you.